I don't mean to start an argument. Yeah, I'm just trying to spark a conversation. Like love can make it tiring. Oh, yeah.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of What's the P, a show that provides a platform for gay black men to express their perspectives on topics, issues, and concerns of the world around us and how it actually impacts our community. I'm Curtis Rusella.
I'm Justin Lamar.
And we are your show's hosts. Join us today will be Ivory, Donald, and Clarence. Today's topic of a discussion is faith and religion and how it has shaped your beliefs as a gay black man. Growing up in church, homosexuality has been frowned upon and has been deemed as the ultimate sin that you were going to hell for. This demonization of our lifestyle has shown not only to push people from their faith, but in some instances has contributed to the deterioration of their mental health. This topic is so much of an issue in the black community, pastors are able to build a following by co-signing petty rhetoric rants like the one from Kim Burrell at her church, where she actually changes the LGBTQ acronym to Let God Be True quickly to promote her own propaganda. How do you feel about people like her and their churches that promote this type of hate?
I think that as a leader of an organization such as Kim Burrell and her church that she pastors or whatever she does, you do have a responsibility to people that follow you, so that if that's something that you're promoting, I do believe that love and hate cannot live within the same space. So you can say whatever you want to say, but you cannot say I love you but I hate the sin. So I think that when you communicate that and you have a whole group of people that follow you, love and hate cannot live within those four walls of the church. That's in my opinion.
What do you think, Donald?
I definitely agree with Ivory. I definitely believe that, especially in the black community, religion has a skewed point of view, especially when it comes to sexuality. I definitely believe that people have changed it to kind of, I guess, prove their point of view when it comes to a lot of things. When it comes to religion, you can't have, like Ivory said, hate and love in the same instance. You can't say I serve God, but then I hate all of these different types of people, or you can't condemn all these people and say that this is God's word. You're here to spread the word of love, not of judgment. Clarence, what do you think?
There's so many other things that she or anyone else can be preaching about besides being gay and it being a sin. I don't believe that anyway. The phrase of, love the person, hate the sin, again, that's you saying you love the person but I have to hate the sin. That is a contradiction of itself. How can you call yourself a Christian when you have no Christ-like attributes? How can you talk about hate when the purpose of the Bible is speaking of from a place of love? So you saying that love the person, hate the sin, you're already contradicting yourself. So at that point, your message, your approach is stifling your message.
Do you believe homosexuality is a sin?
Absolutely not. It's not a sin. Isn't it worse of a sin to hide who I truly am? Like, would I truly be happy if I was with a woman and putting her through what I'm going through because it's to make someone else happy?
Oh.
Isn't that not a sin? I'm not happy. I'm not truly being who I am, but because this group of people want me to be heterosexual, whatever that means, I now have to lie to myself and to others to make someone else happy while I'm living in turmoil.
Make a whole community as well as a church.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I think that, of course, it's not a sin in my opinion. I think that people take the actual orientation piece of it and put the action behind what you do that creates those sins. I think that
The action, you mean the physical act?
It can't, because that would be the only thing that makes someone a homosexual, in my opinion. People have thoughts about same sex, like children. You have some kids that's 4 or 5 years old that you see now, and you have some behaviors that might exhibit some form of femininity, and then that might not transition to them becoming a homosexual. But I think that, like what Donald said, when we're born, we're created. And the story of our life and how our life is written is already created for us. I think that whenever people try to determine if someone is a homosexual, the whole act of having sex with the same sex is what people confuse
Mhm.
with people.
Because it's who you love and not the actual physical act that
It's who you love.
people should be focusing
And I believe that you
Right.
can't help you love.
I agree with all of you. And I mean, I think a big part that a lot of people, especially in the Black community, don't realize is that it's such a big issue in the Black community, more than you see in the other communities, is because this is also something that stems from slavery, in the sense of you had slave masters that would take the largest, biggest, most masculine Black man and what they would call breaking them. Breaking the bull, which is, and then he would demasculate and penetrate him in front of all the other slaves.
Right.
So if you've done this for generations, then within that society, within that culture, they're going to demonize it even more than everyone else, because at this point now we're seeing this firsthand of what they deem as homosexuality, which is not necessarily the same thing as what we as a community now is what we're doing. It's not the same thing.
Right.
Because we don't believe, we're not talking about the sexual act. They're focused
Yeah.
on the sexual act.
Exactly.
They're focused on
Yeah.
who you love and who we're going to spend our lives with
Yes.
and who we're trying to build
Yeah,
a
exactly.
life with.
Right.
And they're focused on the actual physical act of sex.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, like I said, just to quickly touch base again, what Ivory was saying is, if God created us, if you believe in God or even in a higher being, that if we are created, then it's millions of people who created with this defect, as they call it. Then, like, you can't tell. There's no way that you can prove to me that millions upon millions and billions of people on this planet have this same defect, and God, the omnipotent, the beginning, the ending, and everything, has made a mistake.
Right.
Right.
It's not possible.
But then they could say it's natural selection. Well, no, natural selection is when how life or plants and animals weed out the weak. The whole purpose of man, they say, is for you to pass on the strongest genes and the strongest beat parts of yourself to the next generation, so that you can live on through
Somebody else.
and so that you can pass on these strong
Procreation.
genes. So people believe that through natural selection, homosexuals were weak, and that you were given this portion of your life so you wouldn't procreate.
But I mean,
what about
even
the people
so-
who? What about the women and men who can't have children, who are sterile? What about them?
Exactly, they were
I
weak.
mean,
They're weak.
But I mean-
they're weak as well.
if you look at throughout history, Roman emperors, for
Yeah,
example,
they
who acted in homosexual ways, who were
Yeah.
the most powerful men in history.
Yeah.
So you can't. I feel like that's not a just thing, and I mean, it takes a real man to be able to do some of the things that some of us have done.
My goodness.
So,
But-
so let's just say, if we don't believe that homosexuality is a sin, do you believe? How has religion and the church affected your religious beliefs currently in your life?
Okay, so for me, I would say, I think that who we are, what we worship, and who we are, sometimes two different things. Some people say 6 days a week you are living your life, and then you go to a church, and then you're there one day a week, and then that's someone who can think that that's who you are as that person. I think that who we are defines the way that we carry ourselves, the way that we are when it comes to religion and religious views. How do we use what we learn in church or from growing up, childhood, and apply that to our life? I think that as I've gotten older, I look for affirmations as far as things I've heard in the past. How does it apply to me personally if I sit through a sermon at any church? And what do I take from that? Not that it's something I might believe, but if I get some type of whatever I receive from the message, from whatever it is, and how do I actually apply that to my life if it actually pertains to me?
I think in my way, I grew up in the AME church, African Methodist Episcopal Church. Just forgot it. No, just kidding. But I think I really love my church. I really love the traditions. I really love the small community. I really love it. But it has made me actually shy away from being religious. I'm now more spiritual. So I believe in a higher power, and I do believe that higher power is God. But I don't want to go to a place that actually condemns who I am, or talks, or may mention, or allow other people to come in there and condemn who I am, which I've seen a couple of times. So I don't feel like I need to go to an actual place of building a place of worship to actually believe in God and to have faith in Him.
This is true. I mean, I definitely agree with you, Curtis. I definitely don't believe that the physical building is the only center point for where you can commune with God. You can commune with God in traffic, in the bathroom, wherever you want, wherever you want to have your talk. That's your place. That's your time. It's for you. And I definitely think something that I've taken away, like, from my dad. My dad was born and raised Catholic, very strict, like the whole 9 yards. But it's a religion that he's even left. But one thing that I've taken away from him is my dad takes a piece of every religion. He studies, Hinduism. He studies being Muslim, like everything, and takes a piece that works for him from everything.
Well, that was something that it's an article that Justin and I had found earlier about churches. Traditional churches were actually losing their population and losing growth. And
as far as millennials too,
yes,
millennials are not going. They're shying away from traditional churches. They believe that, one, because of the stereotypes, the judgment, just the way that it's presented. I think it's an old school way, and people are trying to find spirituality. They're trying to have a relationship with God. When you see a building, you see these people that's dressed up, their judgment, their uppity.
It's a business.
Right, it's a business. And people, millennials, we're transparent. We want to see, we can read right through you. And I think people just want to get closer, find out way, like Albert says, affirmations that you can get closer to God for yourself. You don't always need the person. Do you currently attend or belong to a church that condemns LGBT community?
Because we do have a friend. We have a friend that actually is he's gay, and he attends, and he's very adamant about sticking with his church, and they damn near prosecute gays.
I don't go to church at all. When I was younger, I grew up in the church.
Okay.
And as I became older and grew up in my own understanding, what I was learning about myself was in direct contradiction of what I knew about the church. Those two things were not aligning. And I would ask, just anything of creationism, homosexuality, marriage, just things of that just wasn't aligning to what I was learning as a grown person.
Okay.
So because of that, and I would ask questions, and you know how certain people always, when you ask questions, you don't question God, you don't question the Bible. And I'm questioning because I want to know, I want to learn. So because you say don't question, you are now, sectioning yourself off for me to learn more. So I have to go with my own beliefs and what I need to know.
And that's the discussion that we had with that gentleman, because he actually believes homosexuality is a sin, and he is gay. And then he also said, we had that discussion, and I said,
but also too, when we talked to him, he said that he went through a time in his life that his church was there, and that's why he felt like he was loyal
for him. Very supportive. They were very.
He said he went through a situation, and he said he felt like.
But he says if you read the Bible, though, he wants to follow the Bible.
The way I feel about it is you can be respectful about it. So you might not agree with somebody being homosexual. That's okay. That's 100% okay. But you can still have the respect for that person and not preach against it. And I think that's the biggest thing. I don't have to agree with the way you live your life. Right. But I still have to be respectful about how you live your life and the choices that you make. I might not agree that you eat pork, or that I'm Hindu, that you eat cows, that you eat beef. But I can respect you in that same token. Right. That doesn't, just because we don't have the same beliefs doesn't mean that we can't be friends, that we can't have that mutual respect for each other.
Right. And let me say this as well. I think that whenever you do belong to any faith-based organization, and you would hope that the organization that you actually tied into and that you put money into are same gender loving and affirming to certain things. Went to church for a very long time. I was in a relationship at the time. The moment that he and I were about to get married, our proposal video went viral, kind of, sort of. Somebody showed it to the pastor. So the moment that our engagement video went viral, so he had asked us, I no longer want you guys to minister. Because before the engagement and all that, and the proposed video was out, I'm openly gay.
He didn't have no problem.
You didn't have a problem with it. But the moment that I have to present myself and represent your church in front of people, then, in my opinion, it became an issue. Mission statement of the church is reaching and teaching lost souls for life. And I think that a lot of people don't go into those buildings because of of that exact thing. You walk in, you're already judged.
Yeah, 13, 14, coming to my knowing and hearing that homosexual is a sin, I'm going to hell, and hearing from a church that you don't want to go to hell. There used to be nights where I used to cry myself to sleep, praying that what I knew back then was a sin, to remove that sin from me.
Yeah.
Again, me not understanding, me, liking boys, but like, you're not supposed to do that. So it did impact me when I was young and impressionable at that age. Now you can't tell me nothing about religion. I had a woman tell me literally one day at work, well, if you're gay, you're going to hell. And I told her, I said, well, ma'am, if all gay people are going to hell, that sounds like a party I want to go.
Okay. It made me search for a church that did accept me.
Because his grandmother.
Right, my grandmother is a pastor, and I knew growing up what was said. And I was like, well, I know that this feeling can't just be a feeling. Mm-hmm. So let me go out, research. I saw TV shows. I was like, there has to be another church for me.
Yeah.
Religion is a man-made construct. It's about rules and regulations. Spirituality is your own personal relationship with God.
And that's the P. I'd like to thank Donald, Ivory, and Clarence for joining us with sharing their P. Take 3 seconds to like and subscribe on our channel below. Also, remember to share this episode with your family and friends and continue the discussion at home. We look forward to hearing your P on today's topic during Facebook Live tonight at 7:30 p.m. And join us next Monday for a new topic and 3 new guests sharing their P. That's the P.